everyone, it's Nadia from YARNutopia. Today we're making this beautiful princess lace-up costume top. This is so pretty, and it's probably the most easiest shirt or tank top that I have ever made in my entire life. One of the only ones, but it's so simple, you guys. It's so much fun to make. I am going to get into the supplies we need and then some frequently asked questions, and then we'll get into making this beautiful top. So the yarn we're going to use is the same yarn I used in the princess skirt. It is Lion Brand Yarn's Modern Baby, and this yarn is, let's get through this here, is 173 yards for each skein of yarn, and I used two full skeins on this. Actually I had a little bit of extra left over, so about, I would say, 340 yards or so of yarn to make this shirt. Now you may need more or less depending on what size you're gonna make, but this is such a versatile pattern. You can make it any size you want, and this is a light or size 3 yarn. You could use Caron Simply Soft, you could use a Red Heart Super Saver yarn, you could use basically any type of cotton or a polyester or acrylic yarn. This is an acrylic nylon blend, so if you wanted to use a double knitting yarn or a worsted weight yarn on this shirt, you totally can. It's totally easy to use, easy to make yarn. I'm using the color yellow for my costume dress, but you can use any color that you want. But if you want to use the same exact yarn that I'm using to get the same exact look I have, you can get the Lion Brand yarns in Modern Baby. The size hook we are going to make this in is an I size hook, which is 5.5 millimeters. So that is the hook I'm going to make this with. You could make this with a bigger or smaller hook. Since this is based off of measurements, you can make this as big or small as you want. Just know that if you use a bigger hook, your stitches will be looser, having more holes on the inside, stretchiness and everything, so you can kind of see all through that and everything. But the smaller the hook, the tighter the stitch, and you won't see through. So there's that. Also, you're going to need a scissors and a yarn needle to cut your yarn and sew in your ends. And I recommend a stitch marker. You don't have to have a stitch marker, but I am using just extra yarn just to mark some stitches when we sew on our straps onto our shirt. So I just am using different colored yarn for that. And then I have my handy dandy measure tape, because you will be measuring your body and making your piece for the measure. Yep, there you are, little Lammy here. So I got this little thing, this measure tape, at a place called 10,000 Villages. I got it in Richmond, Virginia when I was visiting my friends. So I'm not sure if you can find something like this online if you want one of these, but this is a cute little measure tape, and it's really handy, and you can, you know, store it in your yarn bag for when you need to measure things. So there's that. Also, one last thing you're going to need is ribbon, because this is a nice corset top, and we are going to lace up the back. So I'm just using the same exact ribbon I used on my skirt for the waistband. You can use any type of ribbon, any color that you want, but this is a nice satiny yellow ribbon that I am using. So you're going to need that. So now, frequently asked questions, I'm going to probably get, how can you make this bigger or smaller to fit you? Well, because obviously your body size is not probably the same size as mine. So what we're going to do is make this with measurements. So you're going to need your chest measurement. This is actually, it looks like it's shaped weird, but actually it's just a tube. It's all the same size. And since that corset backing has that ribbon, it will tie to your body, or tie tight around your body, so it will form the shape of your body. So you're going to need your chest measurement because you want it to fit around your chest, and then everything else will just kind of fall into place. This is a very stretchy yarn, as you can see. So it will fit a little snug around the body, but that's kind of how I want my princess look to be. If you're going to make the skirt, you can follow the link in the description description of this video or go to my blog YARNutopia.com and you will see the link to the skirt to match this top. And then also for the straps, if you need to make them bigger or smaller, where you can just chain less or more. And I will have all the sizing changes and everything in the description of, in the notes section on the blog, on the pattern page. This doesn't have, any calculation to it, so you can chain as many as you want. It's really, some patterns say, do this in a multiple of 6 or something, but you don't have to do that for this pattern. It is just a plain design, plain simple, nothing too special, although this ribbon really does dress it up a little bit, which makes it really pretty. So that's that. So that's all the frequently asked questions I usually get, is just how big you can make it and what type of yarn you can use, which I already demonstrated or told you that you can use any type of yarn for this project. I think the best equivalent to this though is probably a Caron Simply Soft. This is a light yarn, very thin yarn, and very soft yarn. So if you couldn't get this one, you could get a Caron Simply Soft. But otherwise, this yarn is really nice. I got this on craftsy.com. I will put the link to it on the website and in the description of this video so you can find that. And I highly recommend you make the whole costume. Make the top and the bottom for, anybody. You can make this for little children for playing dress up. You can make it for yourself for Halloween, or make it as a gift. The skirt is a great item for a gift because you can make it any size you want, and it's really pretty, and you can make it these as long or as big as you want. So I hope everybody gets a chance to make one of these, and if you do, make sure to share your photos. So there's links in the description of this video. There's a link to the written pattern for this shirt and for the skirt, and also there's a link to my Facebook and my Instagram. Make sure you follow me on Facebook and on Instagram. I would absolutely love it if you shared a photo, and make sure you go comment. Find this photo on Instagram or on Facebook and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about my costume this Halloween, and if you're gonna make your costume, share what you're making this year. What are you gonna be for Halloween? In my picture, I added tulle around my shoulders. I just used safety pins on it, and then I tied a crocheted rose. There are so many flower tutorials online for roses or for flowers, so I just put a little red rose there. I'm not going to show you in this video how to make it, but that is just an extra embellishment for the top, and you can see that in the photo, and also in the blog I'll kind of explain a little bit more of that. Also on Instagram, if you share your photo, make sure to hashtag YARNutopia so I can see your work on there. And you can follow me on Snapchat. I'm YARNutopia on Snapchat, so make sure you follow me there and you can see all my Halloween pictures. How exciting! So now we can get started. I just want to say one last thing. A big, huge thank you to my dad, Fuad Azmat, for taking the time to make these videos with us. He is our videographer, editor, and photographer for all of YARNutopia's videos. So let's give him a big thank you. Comment on this video thanking him for all of his hard work, and now we can get started and making this beautiful princess lace-up costume top. Let's start out with a slip knot. So put your short end over the long end, then fold this down and then pull your long end through, pull tight, insert your hook, and we can start. Now you can decide if you want to do a foundation double crochet row, or you can just chain. I'm just going to do the chaining method because I just want to do it that way. But we are going to chain any amount, okay, as long as it measures your, I guess, your bust measurement, okay, so the measurement of your chest around. So mine measures 34 inches, so I am going to chain an amount that is 34 inches. Then that's when your chain is stretched, okay? So I'm going to chain just like this, yarn over and pull through, okay, just like this. And if you see here, your chain will look like this, but when you stretch it out, it increases in size, okay? So you want to make sure that your chain looks like this, and when you stretch it completely, it's your chest measurement, okay? And I have already calculated my chain, and I need to chain 77 for my chain to be as that will measure around my body. Okay, so I'm gonna chain 77 just like this. I won't make you watch me do all 77. I'm just yarning over and pulling through completely just like that, all the way until I get 77 chains. And then once I have that measurement, I will meet you up for row 1. Alright, when you have your chain, it should look something like this, okay? And now we are going to basically just double crochet across. So in the 3rd chain from the hook, so the loop on the hook doesn't count, so count 1st chain, 2nd chain. In the 3rd chain right here, we are going to yarn over, go into that 3rd chain, but what I'm going to do is actually, you can see my chain like this. I'm going to turn it toward me like this, okay? So you can see these back ridges. This back ridge like this, we're going to work into those. So yarn over, go into the 3rd chain from the hook, go in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Okay, that is a double crochet. So we're just going to double crochet into each chain. So yarn over, go into the next chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. Okay, yarn over, go into the next chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. Okay, so we're just double crocheting across. Like I said though, you could skip the whole chaining method and just do a foundation double crochet, and that would be your chain and your row 1 all in one single step. But I just chained and I'm going to double crochet across the chain, so that's just creator's choice. And then I'm going to meet you up at the end of row 1 and we'll go on to row 2 together. Alright, when you're finished with this row, it should look something like this. Okay, and now we are going to go on to the rest of the rows. It's just a repeat pattern, so what we're going to do is chain up 2, 1 and 2. That does not count as anything. We're going to turn our work and we're going to double crochet into that first stitch right there. So yarn over, go in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. And then we're going to double crochet in each stitch across. Okay, and that's basically it. So yarn over, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so we're just double crocheting into each stitch. So you'll have the same amount of stitches on every single row. I swear this is the easiest shirt I've ever made. So we're just double crocheting across, and then in the next row we're just going to chain up 2, turn our work, and double crochet across. And I'm going to do 30 rows in total. That should get the length I'm looking for. If you want it to be more of a tunic style, you can just continue working these rows however long you want it to be, but we're just making a big panel. Okay, so this is going to wrap around us, all the way around us, kind of like if you're, familiar with like a tube top style of shirt. So we're just going to, I'll meet you up then and I'll tell you about the next step. But we're just gonna just continue working 1 double crochet in each stitch across, turn our work, chain up 2, and work a double crochet in each stitch across for the next I think that's 28 rows then. So for rows 2 through 30. Again, you can make this as long or short as you want, so I'll meet you up when you're satisfied with your length, and then I will go on to the next step with you. Alright, when you're finished, this is what your piece should look like. Just a big, huge panel. Okay, yep, just like that. So you can see here. So now what we're going to do is fold this in and then fold this piece in, and you have 2 different options. So this is what's going to fit around your midsection, okay? Like I said earlier, like a tube top kind of shirt where it's just a basic tube and then you're going to slip into it. But you can decide if you want to sew up this seam. You could crochet it closed, so don't fasten off here. You could just crochet down the back to kind of just do a slip stitch or a single crochet, just closing this opening here. But I'm actually going to fasten off here, so I'm just going to chain 1 And I'm going to cut my yarn short. You can cut it long too. If you wanted to cut it long, you could cut it long and then pull that all the way through and then use that long strand for sewing the back also. So you could do like a whip stitch all the way down the center back. If you wanted to, but I'm not going to do that either. What I'm going to do is actually sew in this end. So I'll show you step by step here, just show you all the details what I'm doing. I'm just going to take my yarn needle, yarn my needle with that straggler, and go underneath some of these stitches and just hide this end here. Okay, then remember when I said the supplies earlier, we need a ribbon. What I'm going to do is close the back with a ribbon. Okay, so I'll show you how to do that. Kind of like a corset style, we're going to close the back. So I just sewed that in, cut any extra that I had there. Okay, I'll sew this bottom one in a little bit. But grab the ribbon you have. Make sure it's extra long. Okay, and we're going to start at the top and work our way down because corset is tied down the back. So kind of like lacing a shoelace, we're going to go from one end and we're going to go in between these double crochets. So right in here, just going to go in this side, okay, with that side, and then go in this side with this side. Okay, and then just pull tight, make sure it's all straight and beautiful. Okay, just like that. Okay, then we're going to, let's see here, make sure that it's nice. We're going to cross it over, and you can skip a row or you can skip 2 rows. I'm just going to skip 1 row. Okay, and go into that, and then cross this over to the other side, skip 1 row, and go down into this row, and go in from the inside out. Okay, and we're just going to continue doing that. So cross over to this side, skip a row, and then go in this row. Okay, cross over this side, skip a row, and go in or out this row. Okay, so it's basically just like lacing a shoelace. Okay, so just continue working that all the way down. When I have this all laced up the back, making it nice and pretty, like a corset style. See how cool that's gonna look? We're going to make some straps for the sleeves. Alright, once you have it all laced up, this is what it should look like. You can tie a little bow at the bottom and make it look really cute. So what I did was kept it really kind of loose, more loose stitching or more loose lacing up here, and then tightened it more down here because this is going to accentuate the waist area, and then the top part will be loose enough to fit around the bust. So that is the top. Now we have to make little straps to keep it up, but if you don't want straps, you could just have a nice cute little tube top corset style, which is really pretty. But we're gonna make little straps, little spaghetti straps on here. So what we need is our yarn and our hook. I'm gonna set that aside, grab some more of this yarn here. Somebody asked me the other day, how do you use the yarn from the inside of the ball or the outside? And I usually try to dig out the inside of the ball. Sometimes I end up like this and then I get super frustrated, but most of the time the ball allows me to have the strand on the inside, very easily accessible, and then it's not a big mess. But whatever. Anyway, we need to start out by making another slip knot. Yeah. Talk about yarn vomit, right? Okay, so short end over the long end, fold that down and pull that through, pull it tight. And now I'm going to show you how to do a foundation double crochet. If you want to, you can chain, but in the beginning of this video I showed you how to chain, so now I'm going to show you how to do a foundation double crochet. And what we're going to do is when you make this piece, make sure to, if you need to, try it on and then measure from this end around your shoulders, up your shoulders, around to the other side to this end, and see what that measurement is. I'll measure what mine, I think I measured mine actually, what that was. Mine ended up being about 12.5 inches, 12 inches or so. So I'm making a strap that's going to be this one. This is what I did off camera. I made this strap off camera, and this is what I'm going to show you how to make right now. So what we need to do, I'm going to make a foundation double crochet of 42. You can make as many chains or foundation double crochets as you want to measure the amount that you need, but a foundation double crochet goes like this. We're going to chain 3, so yarn over, pull through, 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to yarn over, go into that first chain, so way over here, go in, then yarn over and pull through, then yarn over and pull through 1 loop, and then yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Okay, and that is 1 foundation double crochet. You can kind of see it there. Now, to make the next double crochet, we're going to work like this, so kind of like sideways. We're going to yarn over, and you can see here, if you turn this upside down to the bottom, you can see that there looks like there's a little chain there. Okay, right there. Let me get my needle so I can point it out to you. So down here, there's this loop and there's this loop. Okay, if you can see that, that looks like a chain at the bottom of your piece. Okay, so we're gonna go into there. Okay, so you yarned over. We're gonna go into that little gap there, underneath both of those loops there. Okay, so there's just a little gap in your work. We're going to go in there, then yarn over and pull that through. Okay, now to create the next chain, we're going to yarn over and pull through 1 loop. Okay, that creates our chain, our bottom chain. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Okay, so there's our second foundation double crochet. So again, yarn over, go down into the bottom loop there. There's 2 loops there. You can see them right there. We're going to go into those bottom 2, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, or I'm sorry, 1 loop. 1 loop, then yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Okay, so there's our third foundation double crochet. Again, yarn over, go down into the bottom, those 2 loops there. Okay, looks like a chain at the bottom. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 1 loop, there we go, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So when you see this, this is what it should look like, okay? And if you turn this to the bottom, you can see that that is our foundation chain, and we're creating it as we go. Okay, so just continue working that, as many as you need to measure how big your strap needs to be. I am going to do 42 of these, and then I'll meet you up for row 2. Alright, I just finished my 42nd one, so this is what it should look like so far. So now, going on to the next row, we're going to chain up 2 and turn our work. And then we're going to double crochet into this first stitch right here. So yarn over, go into that first stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. And then we're just going to double crochet all the way across. So just yarn over, go in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through 2. You can see I'm running out of yarn, but I will grab a different skein because obviously I did this one off camera and I wanted to show you. So there. But just double crochet across here. You know, if you do run into this problem throughout your project and if you run out of yarn, you might not have to, but if you do, just start with a double crochet. So yarn over, go into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Okay, but hold it. We're going to grab our other yarn. Let me see here. Let me take this apart. Okay. Hook that on the hook and pull that through, just like that. Both loops. And that finishes off that double crochet. And then you can continue working, double crocheting across, and you can see I'm working over the stragglers to hide them underneath the work. And now we just could double crochet across. So that's if you run out of yarn in the strap or in the work, in the top, in any project. That's how you change yarn. And if you wanted to, you could have changed colors too. But that's how you just change the yarn, whether you're using the same yarn, same color, or a different color. So I'm just going to continue working double crochet across, just like that. And then I will meet you up when I'm finished with this row. Alright, when you finish this row, if you want to, you can continue to make your strap thicker. I'm going to end it here, so I'm just going to chain 1, and then I want to cut my yarn long because I'm going to use it for sewing. And then I'm going to continue to pull that all the way through and pull that tight. So now make 1 more of these. I know you're probably like, wait a minute, you just started a new skein of yarn. Remember I was showing you how I start from the middle and this yarn vomit came out? Well, I did one of these off camera, so I wanted to show you that, and I ended up running out of yarn on that one. So that, if that was confusing for you. So I made this one off camera, and then I ran out of yarn on it. So this is what it should look like though. So make your straps, just double crocheting across however long you need it to be. Just keep in mind these are stretchy, so you don't want it to be too loose where your straps are falling off your shoulders. So you do want them to be a little bit snug on your shoulders. But just make 2 of these, and then once you finish your second one, we can sew these on. And let me grab my piece to show you how to sew them on. So you want to make sure that this is the bottom of your shirt. We're going to turn it to the front, so looking at it like this. And you want to kind of, I guess, fold these 2 in the middle here. Okay, and this is where we're going to kind of pinch here. If you want to use a stitch marker, you can, but we're going to kind of just mark it right here. And we're going to sew these on. You know what, I'll just mark it because it'll be a little easier to show you guys. So I'm just going to use a different piece of yarn, just marking it here and then marking it on the other side about right here. You can count stitches and make sure that it is completely even if you so wish to do that, but this is just for costume purposes, so I'm just going to mark the 2 front. Now in the back, turn it over to the back, and to make sure it's even in the back, we're going to count our stitches, and I'm going to count about 7 or 8 stitches to the side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so this 8th stitch here, I am going to mark it right there. Okay, and this other side exactly the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right in there. I'm just going to go in and mark that. Okay, so now these are marked. You can see here. So now I'm going to take this one. I'll show you one on camera. Let me see here. Okay, so take your yarn needle, yarn your needle with the long straggler here. Okay, put this on your piece. Okay, just 1 layer. You can see that other layers down there. And we're going to sew this on using the whip stitch. Okay, so I'm just going to go into some of these stitches here, this stitch here, and then through this stitch here. Okay, you can take out the stitch marker, going into these stitches, out this piece. Okay, into the stitch, out that piece, and just keep whip stitching this. This is called the whip stitch. We're doing this all the way across. Then, when you're done, Okay, I have to sew in that straggler, but we'll go into these 2 layers. I'm going to keep my thumb into that loop there. I'm going to come back around and go into that loop that my thumb is in, and I'm going to tie a knot and pull tight. Okay, and I'm going to do that twice. You can do it twice or 3 times, however you feel most comfortable. We're just going to come back around into that loop and tie a knot. Boom. Then we're going to sew in that end. So I'm just going underneath some of these stitches to hide this. Okay, back and forth. Just really reinforce the strap because it will bear some weight on it, stretching it around your arm or around your shoulder. So just make sure you kind of go back and forth, stretch that out, cut any extra, and then sew in this end as well. So just yarn your needle with that, and then I'm just going to weave this in up the strap underneath these stitches here. And I'm going to go back. Okay, stretch that out and cut the extra. Then we're going to turn this over. Make sure your strap is not twisted. Okay, fold it like this. And now, since there's no straggler on this side, I'm going to grab a long piece of yarn, okay, of the same color, same type of yarn, and I'm going to yarn my needle with it. Okay, and we're just going to whip stitch across here. So going into this layer, out this layer, but not going all the way through. So you can see here I'm leaving some of this over on this side because I'll use that later to tie a knot. I'm going to remove the stitch marker here, and I'm going to whip stitch this together. Just like so, sewing like so. Then, that was lame, I'm sorry guys. Then we're going to tie a knot, again, just like I showed you on the other side, putting my thumb in that loop, coming back around, and tying that knot. And again, going underneath some stitches, putting my thumb in the loop, going back around, and tying that knot. Then I'm going to sew in this end underneath these stitches that we just made, and then coming back. Okay, and then I'm going to cut that, but this is still loose, so we have to yarn our needle with that straggler. Okay, and then we can tie a knot with that. So go into this stitch, out this stitch, put your thumb in that loop and go back around in it and pull tight. Okay, then go underneath some stitches, put your thumb in that loop, come back around and pull tight. And then just weave in this end underneath some stitches. And you can go back around, back down, just hide that end, just like that. Then cut any extra, stretch it out, so make sure that's all hidden, and there's a strap. So now I'm just going to sew on the other strap exactly how I sewed on that strap, and then I'll meet you up when I'm all fastened off. Alright, there you have it. I just finished it. I just sewed on the straps here, and that's what it looks like. So very nice and business in the front, and then party in the back with that ribbon going down the middle. How pretty is that? So Thank you so much for watching every single day. You guys are so wonderful. Make sure to check out the skirt video to make the skirt to match this piece to make the full costume. I am going to sport this for Halloween this year. You can make this and be a princess for Halloween, or you can make this for any child for dress up and have fun with a dress up day. So have fun with it. You know, you can make it however you want. It was the most simple shirt I've ever made in my life. So thanks so much for watching, everyone. Make sure to share your photos on Facebook and Instagram and hashtag YARNutopia so I can see your beautiful work. I want to see what colors you come up with and what color ribbon you have down the middle here. It's really pretty. So thanks again for watching, everyone. Happy hooking!